Hey everyone, and welcome to the Planeswalker project. I'm Paul, and we're here today to talk about Commander 2019. At the time of recording, preview season for Commander 2019 has not yet started, and we have no information regarding the set at the moment other than it being a Commander product with 4 precon decks. But in this video today, I want to talk to you about some cards that you should possibly consider picking up right now while the prices are not super bad for those Commander precon decks. Now, keep in mind that some of these cards might find their way into being reprinted in one of the decks, so don't rush too quickly in getting some of the more pricier cards until preview season starts. That being said, let's begin. Starting off, I want to say is what I'll consider an honorable mention for this list are the new cards from Modern Horizons and Core Set 2020. Both sets have plenty of new legendary creatures that can make for brand new and exciting Commander decks. You ever fancied a bear tribal deck like the one featured on the recent game nights? Well, Ayula is pretty cheap, as are many of the other bears you might need for the deck. And I myself have been working on a different take on that deck that is centered around Ayula, so you might want to check that out when it comes out. Curious to build a fun, novel tribal deck? Well, Morophon might be a few bucks right now, but in the long run, you'll have it at the ready when the new decks come out. Grabbing up the commander you want to build around and a few key pieces of a potential deck is always a good idea to go into Commander season with, as you'll be likely able to put together a deck just off of those and the components you'll get in the precon decks. At number 10, we have the 10 Signets. I put these at the bottom of the list in the event that the precon decks turn out to be multicolored decks and might quite possibly contain some of these cards. But if you find that you want to build into a deck featuring another color for these precons, having the mana rocks at the ready will give you a running start at fine-tuning your deck. And at the moment, these are extremely cheap, and they've been included in some of the guild kits with those sweet watermarks, so grab them while you can. Next, and going off that same preface, is the Talisman Cycle. These 10 cards each are 2-drop mana rocks that can tap for a colorless, or at the cost at 1 life, you can tap then for 1 mana of 2 colors. I liken them to the Pain Lands, but being artifacts. And given that the new set Modern Horizons completed the cycle, they are great options to add to your mana base. At number 8, we have Despark. This was a card from War of the Spark that really stood out to me as a great piece of removal. Being able to remove something with a CMC of 4 or greater might be just the thing to get rid of problem permanents. I feel like this is a sorely underrated card at the moment, and any deck in Orzhov colors should greatly consider adding this to their removal suite. Eladamri's Call is at number 7. This 2-drop tutors for a creature at instant speed, and unlike its cousin Worldly Tutor, it puts it into your hand. This card just got reprinted in Modern Horizons, and it is extremely affordable right now. Most Commander decks will want tutors, and the better quality tutors you have access to, the better your ability to search for your answers to threats mid-game. Number 6 is a bit of an odd choice, but it's a card that as of late has been flexing its muscle quite impressively for me. Vernal Equinox is sort of a Vedalken Orrery, but exclusively for creatures and enchantments. And given that the Orrery is topping $30, any budget alternative is a good one. The Equinox, I feel, falls under the radar for a lot of people, and I really want to give it some spotlight so the folks who might be looking for an alternate will see its potential. At number 5, we have Emergence Zone. Again, I'm a fan of budget alternatives. I don't see the way to justify a $30 card when, for $1, I can get a very similar, albeit less busted, take on the ability. The Emergence Zone is another War of the Spark card that lets you get the Vedalken Orrery's ability for 1 turn. This is good to help us set up for an explosive response, and given that it is a land, it's oftentimes much safer than having an artifact in play. Coming in at number 4, we have Growing Rites of Itlimoc. This card is perhaps one of the best flips to come from the Ixalan sets, giving us an enchantment that can filter the top of our library and grab us something, and then when it flips, it becomes the Gaia's Cradle. Gaia's Cradle is as expensive as my car payment, and quite frankly, I'd rather take the Growing Rites for the ability. This is a great ramp for green decks, especially those of the token variety that will have plenty of creatures to power out some insane value out of this card. Coming in at number 3, we have Expedition Map. This might seem like a weird include, but lately the card Wayfarer's Bauble has become a lot more popular due to it being a budget mana ramp source. I personally prefer the map as it can search for non-basics. This can be crucial in a multicolored deck, letting you fix your mana without hindering yourself by fetching for a basic. This of course means you'll likely have a bit more of a tuned mana base, but small upgrades here and there can really let you fine-tune a commander deck over time without sorely breaking your bank. At number 2 is a card that I recommend practically every commander season. It's Chromatic Lantern. This card just saw a reprint in Guilds of Ravnica and it is at its cheapest right now. Most decks that are fine-tuned might find that the Lantern is less useful, but for a precon deck, one of the easiest ways to tweak the mana base is to throw this card in. With it, all of your lands gain the ability to tap for 1 mana of any color, which effectively fixes your mana with 1 card. Obviously, once you optimize your mana base, this card utility is a little lessened, but it is always one of the first cards that I'll swap in when playing with a precon deck. And finally, at number 1, the cards that I recommend you pick up for Commander 2019 right now, just before the preview season starts, are the Shocklands. It's a shocker, isn't it? Right now, these babies are in standard. They're in print right now, so their availability is at its highest. These are the cornerstones of any commander deck's mana base because of their versatility, they're having basic land types, and if you want to make your deck work better, there's really no cycle of lands I recommend more. These are one of the few cards that I consider as an investment as a commander player, as there's never a multicolor deck you can build that wouldn't benefit from having one of these. So whether you choose to pick up the colors you want to build into or grab a whole playset of the 10, you are effectively powering up any deck you choose to put them into later on down the line. And with that, my top 10 recommendations for Commander 2019's pre-preview season pickups will come to a close. What cards are you considering picking up in anticipation of preview season? I hope you'll join me for the remainder of Commander Season 2019 as we take a look at the upcoming cards that are featured in the set, how I would recommend upgrading the precons, and maybe we try and build an original deck using some of the new legends. Remember to like this video if it helped out, leave a comment with your suggestions for others to see. Remember, I'm all about us helping each other become better commander players here, and every contribution we make to the greater good will make for more fun time when we sit down to sling spells. If you're new to the channel, I hope you'll consider subscribing today and joining the rest of us. We have a Patreon for those die-hard fans who want to help support us, and I'm grateful for all the support we've received thus far. So do feel free to check that out if you so feel inclined, and as always my friends, I'll catch you all in the next video.